That is on the agenda this afternoon, is it not?
It's not outside. It's not
This is
outside.
the realm of possibilities.
Okay.
I got cameras to catch it.
Call to order.
Reconvene for lunch.
Reconvene.
Okay. We are reconvening for the convention. You know, there's some people that are still coming in and trickling in. Anybody has a way to reach out to them, let them know we're going ahead and getting started.
Warning.
Oh.
I don't think that was me. I don't have a beer.
It's not on the.
I tried to text it.
So if any of the three-letter agencies are listening, we're getting restarted.
Please warn your FBI agents, they need to be back in their seats. Chuck Schumer. All right, so I'm looking for. Well, we have about 2/3 of us still here. Okay, so the next thing on our agenda is the remaining officer election, secretary and treasurer. We're going to start with secretary first. I am now opening nominations from the floor, please.
I would like to nominate Eric.
Okay, I have a nomination. Not, okay. Do you accept?
Yes.
All right. He's hard to find. He's so quiet.
Yeah, I kind
All right, anybody else for the position of secretary? Hearing nothing, so going once, going twice. Sold. Eric, I'm assuming you have a speech prepared. You have 10 minutes.
Yeah, hi, I'm Eric Train, and I accept the nomination for secretary. Been a member of the Libertarian Party for, well, since 2016. Volunteer at many events. I was at State Fair attended both days last year. I have been substitute or
Okay.
I've covered vacation. When the secretary was on vacation, I've done that in the past already. I've covered Harrison a couple times, secretary before that. So I have a skill set that's compatible with that. Chemical engineer for 41 years, including 20 years of capital projects. So I have good attention to detail. So please vote for me.
Eric is being very humble. He is a core part of this group, so. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to vote by acclamation. Do I have a second?
Or Eric.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Motion. Choose the person and vote by acclamation.
Can you repeat that again, please?
No.
I moved up and
Eric by acclamation.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to elect Eric by acclamation.
Second.
Who is that? Okay, Clint. Clinton, is it Clint or Clinton? Clinton. All right, any need for discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, motion carried. Congratulations, Eric. All right, so now is the treasurer. Yes.
Just real quick, is this projector not working?
Oh, one of the projectors.
Yeah, I'll just poke it.
Oh, boy.
Yep, it's on now.
No, it's an AB issue and I can't figure out where it's coming from.
Excuse me.
They need a little more attention.
Way to go, Sherrison.
All right, so now we're gonna move on. Opening the floor, there's only one, nomination for treasurer. Okay, Keith nominates Joey,
Second.
Jason seconds, do you accept? Okay, Joey accepts. Would you like to give a speech?
Best speech ever.
That's all we needed.
All right, that's even. That threw me off a little. Okay, any other nominations from the floor? Hearing guest Chip.
I nominate Clinton.
Would you like to be treasurer, Clint? Clinton?
I will respectfully.
He says no.
Maybe that.
All right, anybody else? Okay, I'm not seeing anything, so we're closing the floor for nominations. So entertain a motion to elect Joey Gamache as treasurer by acclamation.
So moved.
Okay, Keith?
Seconded.
Yeah, whatever. Jason? Seconded.
You're welcome.
Any for discussions? Anybody want to ask him any questions? Like this is going on. This is a little too easy. We should make it harder.
Go ahead. Why are you waiting for? Go ahead.
Oh, we don't have that much time.
Okay. What is your favorite color?
I mean, great.
All right, all in favor of the motion that we have on the floor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. Congratulations, Joey.
There better be a note about in the at-large. Otherwise, it's not a libertarian convention.
All right, so we still are missing quite a few people.
Eric Greenville.
They've been warned.
Okay, well, we're doing at-large next.
I make a motion to. Wait. Yeah, the members back.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to get the remaining members that are missing. Maybe just time to get back.
Let's do a 10-minute recess.
10-minute recess. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Clinton made that second. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Okay, motion carries. 10 minutes.
Andrew, when is Michigan's convention?
It's gonna be July 19th and 20th.
Okay. So for those out there listening, anybody want to go to the Michigan State Convention? It's going to be July 19th and 20th. What city? Port Huron, Michigan. Go to LP Michigan, MichiganLP.org for further details.
It's actually not published yet. We're just finalizing our contracts for us. It's somewhat of a scoop for your stream.
It's going on live, so I just head for the end.
Sure. No, much appreciated.
I would say I would personally attend, but I'm gonna be on the road with the band, so I'm gonna be, all over the country this summer.
Yeah. All good. It's kind of band.
It's called Strange Days. I wrote it down. They actually have a song charting right now, on the rock charts at number 28, Song Mercy. It's D-A-C-E.
Strange Days.
Yeah, D-A-C-E. Song Mercy is charting. On the indie charts, they were up to number 19 last week.
Yeah.
So, yep, that's it right there. Yeah. I'll rock it up. I call it the VIP suite, but
How long have they been?
they've been a band for 30 years. Scotty and Eric have been together for 25. They got singer and the guitarist, and that's his band, the guitarist. So they're actually calling the album that they're dropping in June 25. The work that's going to be on it, they could cross. They're going to cross a lot of genres. They could have hits in the rock world, the Christian world, the mercy that can get there's a top hit called Undo. When people hear that, 18 seconds is going to get caught in their head. There's a moment where Scotty whistles and it's just. Song just gets it. So none of the stuff from the latest albums on Spotify other than Mercy, but the original 2 albums that you see there, all the work is incredible. One united as an establishment. So yeah. This is too It's actually, to me, it's a very libertarian song.
Cool. How long have you been working with them?
Since 2017 on and off, and now I'm pretty much, since I don't work anymore, I have the free time to be out on the road with them.
Oh, that's right. That's crazy that being out for a little longer, it's really respectful to just respectful to stick with the project. How much is that their first time trying?
They charted in the early 2000s back when they were still on a record label. With the song Satellite Soul, which is on Spotify. That one charted, I think Little Angels might have charted. Real Me may have charted, so yeah. And it's nice that like up here in Minnesota, like 7 out, because we've got people that just like we got Joseph, and he used to be the front man for them called Skyward, and they had some national recognition. And now he produces out of this other guy's house. Puppets. So like, our scene has these little pockets in those pockets to come together and start having conversations. So we rebuilt the Minnesota scene when it used to be like in the 90s when we were really like nationals now. And there was a vacuum. The 3 biggest bookers all retired in the same year. And the 3 biggest drawing bands all and there was nobody behind the spots. So see, yeah. Plus we lost First Ave, which is a decent, very, very popular Plains only they bought out an LA company bought that out plus nobody seemed to figure out how to come up with things. And now our citizens hijacked by LA and they run it on the LA politics versus understanding what the scene is here. It's like nope. So that's
I love going to live music. I got into it really late. And, like missed the bus on so much when I was growing up. That like so many great. My first concert I ever went to was in 2017.
oh yeah.
Yeah, and then like between 2017 and 2020 when the pandemic started, I went to like I think like 20 concerts in each of those years.
Nice.
But, yeah, since the pandemic, and that was also right when I got into the LP,
Oh, yeah.
I've had no time since concerts started up again, but I still get the 3 or 4 a year. Good shows and all that. But, there's good stuff from Detroit in particular. You know, I like rock and metal type stuff.
Oh, sure.
And there's some new venues and whatnot. We get, my favorite is this little flint. It's a lot of really great bands there. I think again, stuff that I just missed. There's a lot more.
Yeah, that's what talks that.
But I probably, I'm sure that I don't know it all that well, but definitely think that's there. My brother is into a lot of like hip hop and like stuff like that.
Depends on the others. You gotta try the ones here.
Yeah.
That are just total trash, mumble rap.
Yeah.
Talking about
Yeah. There's definitely some good opportunities for good shows and stuff. Somehow, especially I loved that I moved a lot closer to Detroit right around the time that I started going to shows, just because it made it so much more accessible. I can get a Uber ride downtown to go see a show, and I can drink and everything, and not have to worry about driving home afterwards. And, you know, enjoy. I like to floor and like. For a while, I really enjoyed jumping in a mosh pit and
Oh, yeah.
come back up that. I felt like I was like,
Sean and I did a show. 23, we went to Batista.
yeah,
I'm too old for that shit.
yeah. It was hilarious. I was running around in a mosh pit with the shows, and people were like, "Oh my god, I've never seen a big guy like you moving through that." Like yeah, me neither. It's not supposed to happen.
The moment the pit exploded, they jumped up and just like did the scissor kick. It's the things I saw in the most pit back in the 90s.
Like 9 years ago.
Yeah.
Punches and elbows. I got sucker punches in a show because I was too confident standing in the front. And, someone just went, boom, right in the back of the head. It's like, hey, that's me. But every time they have something there, someone picks me up. Crowd starts me into mosh pit with special crowd starts me. And at some point, I got my head. Now, the band that has the craziest hits number somebody else. The one's one of those not even like the craziest bits I've ever been in for no reason. Why is this? They had when I first saw them, they definitely slaves. Some 41 had more crazy hits. Well, that's great. That is really good. Now, definitely on some mysteries. Because everyone was nuts. I didn't even have my feet on the ground. I was so I was like this. Now, just dangling your toes. Okay. I'm going where I'm going. What's Man, I missed. They were opening for somebody I saw.
Twilight.
Yeah, they were giving us.
I don't know.
I was like, oh, and it was weird to see how. And I was like, I want to go. And I was pricing like that. $200. I think I've seen it. And I'm not paying $200 to see this. I don't care. Those are two bands I've seen before. So it's like this. Just because they postponed the concert 2 years ago. And so
But I reached back out to some.
yeah, so I should have buddy do like cool. So I got it. And then my buddies both wanted to so they make that. So
See where things go.
They always have a great shoulder.
My ex is last week, which he is about 3 months in the hospital. It means that traded.
What is it, it's recent?
On the side of the very straight edge ones. So this is and this brings one. That's awesome. So they're a French band, so it's like they only have one song their entire songs, but plus they one song from just
Only one.
it's in the song.
And there are other.
Just like the.
Not in like it was with our years.
One version will be English, the other version will be in Swedish.
So excited about that. She was just
You see me. I'm like a priest. You go see them. Tell me. I said, what do you mean? I got to be.
It's, you know, it's just not.
She was.
Yeah.
I'm in a spot of someone say about so he was accused of seeing the Moscow free. And people were demanding her to answer.
Exactly, and that's what.
That was used to drum and force her from the time. It was a faction of former people.
I actually think. I mean, just from the interactions I had first shooting.
He's a good dude. I like him.
Yes, personally, I think that, like, I thought of him as a teacher, not as people. I think he still has some great thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, you're
There's a whole year speaking.
I know. I was very.
Oh, yeah. So,
And it's like, there was something that we like. It is one of that.
I think they're going to.
Didn't realize.
Yeah, no,
I didn't realize. I have to bring screens, so go ahead. Where is it? Oh, there we go. Okay. Sure. There we go. Fixed.
Okay, we are gonna try this again, reconvene after our 10-ish minute break. I think that might have been more, but that's 10-ish. All right, next thing on the agenda is at-large elections. We have 6 open seats. And I'm trying to talk as slow as possible because there are still people missing. Okay, so we'll go ahead and open the floor for nomination. For at-large.
One additional voting member is now present, total 32.
Perfect. So now we have 32 voting members here.
I nominate Toby.
Okay. Ahmed is nominating Toby Leonard from the floor. Is Toby in here? Yeah, right. Okay, Toby will be right back.
Nominate Bob Seifert.
Nick is nominating Bob Seifert from the floor. Bob, do you accept? Bob accepts. Keith?
I nominate Dick Bell.
Yeah. Keith nominates Jake from the floor. Is that a yes or a no? Is that a no? Yeah, okay. He says no. Jason?
I nominate Keith Haskell.
Okay, Jason nominates Keith Haskell from the floor. Keith, do you accept?
I do, thank you.
The other Keith accepts. Sean? Sean nominates Ahmed. Ahmed, do you accept? Okay, so he declines. Hayden? Hayden nominates Clinton. Clinton, do you accept? Clinton accepts. And Heath? Oh, Hayden.
Look, there's a reason to replace the secretary.
All right, Eric?
I nominate Chip Tank.
Chip, nominated from the floor, do you accept? Chip respectfully declines.
I totally missed out. What was it?
Okay, that was Chip nominated by Eric and Chip said no. Okay, Clinton. Clinton nominates Brian Paulson. Do you accept? And Brian also declines.
I was nominated six.
Oh, Chip nominates TJ Hawthorne. TJ is not here, but he did tell me if he was nominated from the floor that he would accept. So we accept that. So that's a yes. It's on the list. Where are we at?
We've got 4 accepts, Toby's on his way back. Toby accepts.
Toby accept.
Okay, Carrie nominates Harrison. Harrison, do you accept?
Aye.
Okay, Harrison said yes. Harrison, that's 5. Okay.
I'd like to nominate Mitch Zorn.
Ahmed nominates Mitch. Do you accept? He accepts? Oh, I guess actually if you accepted nomination, can you come up here to give your little speech for a minute? Okay, anybody else?
Except for Emma. Okay. Yes.
He says yes, so he said yes. Tell him to hurry up.
Hurry up, she says. Okay, Mom.
Yes,
Definitely.
okay. Anybody else? Okay, Nick? Nick nominates Charlie. Charlie, do you accept? Okay. Charlie says no. I think we've got more no's than yeses, guys. This is probably the easiest job in the
I
party.
think that's 7.
I think we have 7. Yeah, because TJ's not here. Everything's very special. Oh, Eric's let me just get you. Just look at
Make it really easy for everybody and just pursue mine. So,
Okay, so Harrison has rescinded his acceptance.
So we have our 6.
So, all right, any more nominations from the floor? Good. Chip.
Yeah.
Anita, would you like to be at large?
No, because I'll probably sub all the time for.
Okay, she said no also.
yes, I accept.
Okay, so going once, going twice. All right, the floor is closed for nominations. You guys want to take a minute just to talk about yourselves and say a little bit stuff.
Not really.
You can be first then.
Oh, wonderful.
Since you didn't want to.
I am Mitch Zorn. I served on at large this last year and would like to do it again. Thank you.
Bob Seifert, I served on as an at-large last year, and following Mitch's lead, I would like to do it again also. Any questions? We've got another 40 seconds. Hearing none,
Hello.
I'll turn it over to Clinton.
Bill, supporting for new members of our party and trying to help grow our party. Thank you.
Keith Haskell from Mankato. We're going to get the affiliate formed up there and starting again. And I'm not a recruit, but a transplant from what I formerly referred to as the GOP. And I've been here about, I don't know, 7 or 8, 9 months. At least I know I've been here 6 months. I did validate that. And excited. I've been on the calls, at least monitoring some of the bylaw committee as they were going through the proposed changes. And really intend to be an active member of the executive committee and not just somebody there. Thank you.
Hello, Toby Leonard. I've been the one of the at-large members of last year. I've enjoyed it. I'd like to continue that. And I'm also the Libertarian candidate for mayor. I've run the last 2 elections for mayor. Got almost 30% of the vote last election cycle. Hopefully, I can pull this one off and become mayor in next year in 2026. Mankato, sorry, Mankato mayor race. Thank you, and also owner Mankato Guns. So yes, gun dealer, obviously libertarian. Yes.
All right, so I think typically in the past, we've always had, well, and TJ's not here, like I said, he did say he was willing to do this. We have 6 people and 6 seats, so Is this a race that we can do by acclamation?
I have a question.
Yes.
Before we get to it. This is for a one-year term, so I won't ask, Tiffany. But we will have the state fair group, on this, like this summer. We will commit to doing ample shifts at our group.
Should we get close to the governor's booths like an epaulette?
I like it.
We have a spot. We have a spot.
I will not commit to it because I don't know if I can make it during that time or not. It's a long drive for me and I will have my own affairs. I'm not gonna make that commitment.
I can commit to at least one shift. I gotta see what my work, how things, gonna pan out, because I do some most of my PTO already, but I can only do at least one day. So I'll do more if I can, but I can do at least one.
Self-employed and I commit to at least 1 day.
I would have to see the dates to see what all commitments I've also done. Also, I have to check with my girlfriend, if it's not gonna get mad.
It's 12 days ending on Labor Day. It's before Labor Day, it ends on Labor Day. 12 days. That's it.
I will do my best to at least volunteer a day or two. I usually pretty busy around that. So
And I'm not trying to speak for TJ, but he was a pretty good volunteer last season. Questions?
Question for each of you. One of the biggest things that our chair and vice chair have brought up is that there is just a core group of people that are taking action. What is one initiative that you would like to undertake as an at-large member for the state party?
keep pushing Defend the Guard. I think Defend the Guard is one of the most important things that we have currently on the table and available to push through legislation. What? I think we need to focus on Defend the Guard. It's an important piece of legislation and we're getting really close. So I think that's my priority.
So one thing I've been working on is
Yes.
Otter Tail County, engagement with Otter Tail County. I've got it. Otter Tail County, so I came out of Otter Tail County, and the Republican Party there is disenfranchising a pretty big segment of the grassroots there. So I've continued engagement with them. That's who I've been dealing with a lot. I just had another meeting with them, with a group of them last weekend. And they complimented you on your run and your debate performance. They liked what you had to say.
Thank you.
Can everybody not hear me?
Let me get the mic.
Sorry. For the stream then. So that's the big thing I've been working on, is just stay engaged with them. And then Defend the Guard, which I'm always working on. So that's the biggest thing that I've been doing. I don't know, other things as they come up I work on, but the biggest thing I've been working on is the Republican engagement in Otter Tail County. Because you got a whole group of them that don't really have a place to go anymore. They have their convention coming up, and a bunch of them have been shut out from their convention, but they're very leery of joining the Libertarian Party, partly to do with our presidential candidate last cycle. So that's kind of a big turnout to them, and so I have to deal with that. And what we did last cycle. That's the issue that I'm dealing with up there, and that's why I haven't been real active with the party on.
So, as I mentioned in my very lengthy speech there, outreach and onboarding is something that I would very much like to be assisting with. So I'd love to assist with the outreach directors on that, and I think that is one of our top issues is party growth, and I'd like to help that.
Well, I'd like to second the party growth, but I don't want to steal your thunder. I've committed with Rebecca. I have a couple of interests, and one of them is affiliate development and growth throughout the state. I'm totally okay with traveling. I don't mind that at all. Road time is peaceful and thoughtful time for me. And I think we need to look at where our members are throughout the state and see if we can't develop some of them into active affiliates if we're trying to re-engage in Mankato as well. And then secondly, when we talk about membership, I hate to quote the old Baptist preacher, but you know, if we all brought just one more member today, this convention would be twice the size. So that's my challenge for everybody in the next year. If we all bring in one new party member, a voting member, and they come to convention, and I didn't say invite them, I said bring them. Because the way to really get them here and force them to stay is ride in your car with you and then mentor them for their first year so they're not just cast aside once they join. And then my third challenge personally is we are ignoring two of the biggest elected positions in our state, and we do it every year. And I'm after the prosecutors and judges, and I'm going to find some new ones.
Okay, down in Mankato, working with Keith here, we're actually trying to expand our affiliate very quickly. I'm actually working on a larger group, Resiliency Network, we're having our first event next Sunday. And we're trying to get all the gardeners, the hippies, the home canners, everybody together, the homeschoolers, and try to set up a network of resources. Now, many of these people actually are kind of leaning libertarian, they just haven't realized it yet. So my goal is to expand a large group there and then pick and choose the ones who are more libertarian leaning and shuttle them to Keith. And he'll drive them up here and then since they're in his car, he won't let them leave. So I'm casting a much wider net and then picking and choosing amongst that group. But we're trying to push the Resiliency Network to kind of get all the people together and internet network and exchange information. So that's the initiative I'm working on this.
Anybody else had a question?
Sure, let me.
I guess I. Oh, go ahead.
Sure, yeah, I just wanted to bring up kind of the Freedom Cell Network. That's kind of what you mentioned over there with the gardeners, like, it's those kinds of people. A lot of them, you know, they might still be like Armenians or whatever, but they're good to talk to, and they have kind of food freedom, especially on the vine. And there's places around the Twin Cities, I'm sure all over the state.
Any other questions? All right, I kind of jumped the gun earlier. Wait, Chip. Can we do vote by acclamation since there's 6 by 6? All right, so then I need a motion from the floor to elect the current at-large members that we have on the list by acclamation. Keith, first Keith makes the motion and Nick makes the second. Any need for a discussion?
What do you guys think of communism?
Communists aren't real people.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. All right, motion carries. Congratulations. Okay, so we're only a little bit behind schedule, but now we have our speaker, Senator Riesenberg. Oh, you were behind the caller. It's like, oh, I left.
Thank you, everybody. I think you have me down for 45 minutes. I'm probably not going to talk that long, so I'll get you back to schedule. But I am here today to talk about the Defend the Guard legislation. We can't be fighting in these nonstop foreign wars and sending our good people there to die for no reason. There's wars might need to be involved in, but if we have to go to war, it would be a goddamn good reason. So that's why we need to get this legislation passed. I know we've had lots of help with with you guys and other people pushing this legislation, for whatever reason, Matt in the House is, exactly. So, I do have bipartisan support in the Senate. I've got John Hoffman, he's a Democrat senator who's pretty conservative, probably the most conservative Democrat senator, and I have Omar Fateh, who's, well, if you don't know Omar Fateh, he's a shithead, but he's on this bill because he doesn't like war. So that's good. Yeah, I just, boy, so.
Respect,
What's that?
respect to that.
Yes. So we got it there. We got bipartisan support nationwide, as everybody knows. And, you know, we got to keep pushing this. So, I mean, what I needed, what we need to do is we got to keep pressuring these politicians that are saying, well, no, it's going to defund the National Guard, or it's going to do this and that. It's not going to do that. The fact is, you know, I want this to pass, and hopefully we get this passed. But, you know, if DC plays games, they're still going to get what they want. We got to fight, right? So, we got to respect all of everybody that, you know, signs up to fight for our country. And we're not doing that right now. We're sending, so I'm also on, this year, I'm on the Veterans Committee. We used to have a Veterans Committee that was all by itself. So when Democrats took control, it got put into egg and broadband. So we've been fighting to try to have our own Veterans Committee, because that should be the very first committee that we have, is the Veterans Committee, and then we'll go from there. Because without people fighting for the country, we wouldn't have anything. So it's very frustrating that Democrats don't seem to really care about that. So anyway, I'm on the Vets Committee. I've got Zach Duckworth, who's in the Guard, Bruce Anderson, who's retired military, and can't remember the other Republican senator on there, but you know, we're pushing to try to get the DAV to work for veterans, which is pain in the ass. There's a bill that we heard on Monday with veterans trying to get their benefits. It can take a long time, and we're pushing to have actually there's other groups that are helping veterans, and these are veterans themselves. They went through the process not being able to get the benefits. So they've created a network of people trying to help veterans with all the DAVs saying, oh no, we're doing a good job, we're fine. You're not. Otherwise, veterans wouldn't have done this thing, created their own business to help veterans themselves, right? There's actually a guy, I can't remember his name, but he testified, he's a lawyer, he's a retired, I think he's retired Marines. He was having problems getting benefits, so he became a lawyer and went and got his benefits for himself. So he was there testifying, and the DAV people and him almost got in a fist fight. It was kind of fun to watch. But I went up to give him my card, so we talked, and they stood up, and it was, yeah, it's a brawl. But so we're fighting for you in the Vets Committee. There are Democrats there that I truly think they want to help him, but the Democrats always say that, and then they just still do whatever they're told by the government. So, so this hopefully, Drew Roach is here, newly elected in the House. He's carrying this in the House. Jeff Backer did ask for this bill originally, so I sent it to Jeff, and then he got lied to by Matt Bliss, and then was afraid to carry it. Exactly. So Drew picked it up. Drew dropped it. We're going to work on getting a hearing in the House. I talked to our Senate staff, and I said, you know, when I talk to the House, let them know that when I go to testify, if they're not on board, I'm just going to sink their ship. So they're telling lies, and they're not helping us. If we're gonna go to war, it's got to be through an act of Congress, right? We got to follow the Constitution. That wasn't saying it's unconstitutional. So I had a phone call with him. He said, well, this is unconstitutional, and if you pass this bill, I'll help to fight and sue. I'm like, you're going to sue me for trying to follow the Constitution? That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And then he's on the floor testifying about the gun bill and how we have to follow the Constitution. Well, you follow the Constitution, say the Second Amendment, but when we're actually trying to save lives, you're going to listen to the neocons and say, well, we have to have these forever wars. How we're fighting wars changing. We're not sending in 10,000 troops. We have a small whatever. If we have to do something, and we've got technology that we're advancing, and we don't have to risk the lives that we're risking. So I'm glad that Trump is doing what he's doing. It's very frustrating when he is getting us out of wars, and the Democrats are calling him evil because he's friends with Putin. Like, look at all the presidents back to Bill Clinton that has had Putin at their house, right? So no, he's just getting us out of war. He just said if they continue to attack Ukraine, we're going to sanction them. So he's not friends. He's a very good leader and strong. That's what we need. I'm not going to talk for a long time, but I am going to fight for you, and I'm going to fight for this legislation. We're going to get this bill heard. We're going to keep, I know you're going to keep giving him shit until we hear the bill.
Till it gets passed.
That's right. So we need to pass this. And, Pete Hegseth wants it. So I talked to Matt Bliss, and he's like, well, I don't even think that's true. So then I went and made a Facebook post, which I think you probably shared, and maybe some of you have seen it. It's on Fox News. He's been interviewed all over the place saying he wants it. So when you have the head of the Department of Defense saying he wants it, well, why don't we give it to him? Because if we're going to follow chain of command, well, he's the top. Just give him what he wants. And he's from Minnesota. So we say, look, we gave our Minnesota homegrown guy the bill that he's looking for. It's asinine how I didn't get into politics to play politics. I got into politics to work and work for the people. I can see why some people never leave the house because they're all just children and they just continue to fight like they're in 12-year-olds, and they can't get past that next level of whatever's in their head. They just always think they're right. They can't admit they're wrong. And that's how you grow and learn. Yes, I was wrong at some point, but I figured out what was right, you move forward. And that's what we're also dealing with in Minnesota with the Republican Party. You got some people working for you, some people that are working for themselves, and some people that don't know what the hell they're doing. So we got to keep going. We got to keep fighting. We got to not stop. I don't know what else to say except for I'll take questions, but
So why is it we have to pass legislation to enforce the Constitution?
Exactly. That's stupid.
That's my main question for Matt Bliss and for anyone else listening. Why are we passing legislation to uphold the Constitution? It doesn't make any sense.
Just like all of our Second Amendment laws, we're passing laws to uphold the Constitution. Now we're working on the passing Defend the Guard legislation, which is already in the Constitution. So why do we have to pass bills to follow the Constitution? Why do I have to pass a bill so I can carry this thing in my head? I'm going to carry it wherever I want because I can, because the Constitution says I can. I don't need laws that we have to artificially right to say we're going to uphold the Constitution. We just have to uphold it. We just have to use the Constitution. And I tell people that a lot too. There are many Democrats who hate our Constitution and they want to burn it. They don't believe in our Constitution, so they don't follow the Constitution because they just don't even think it exists or whatever you want to say. So they pass these. What's that? Well, yeah, all the time. So they pass these laws, like education policy. They'll pass a law that's unconstitutional. They know it is, but then they make a sue to get it to change back the way it was. So they know what they're doing. They pass these laws, and we have to spend a bunch of money to get it taken out. And if we don't, it goes into law. It's unconstitutional, and sometime down the road we have to fight it, like the Chevron deference case that we just won this last year is great, but now we need money to go through all these lawsuits to keep these people from doing the things. If anyone doesn't know what the Chevron deference case is, in a nutshell, there's 3-letter agencies for a long time making their own laws. Like I'll just use MND for example. I'll get to you guys. That they've been giving legislation, they've been getting it passed, and then they're also the ones upholding the law that they try to get passed. You can't do that. They're just looking out for their own best interest. So whoever wants to go first.
So it's my understanding that in regards to the Defend the Guard, right? Essentially, the governor of Minnesota is the commander-in-chief of the Minnesota National Guard. I've heard people saying that National Guard is still part of the armed forces, so the president is the commander-in-chief. But I believe that's only during the war. The president is the commander-in-chief of the National Guard. So my understanding is that we're pulling power away from our government to support those requests from the president to send National Guard members overseas. Is that a correct understanding?
So you're saying that the Defend the Guard Act is we have to declare war to use our National Guardsmen. Yes. So if Congress declares war, then yes, the National Guard can fight, but it can only be if Congress declares war, and that's it. And since like World War II, we probably haven't followed that. We're just getting into conflicts, and because the president says so, and we're using National Guardsmen. If we're gonna go to war, then I guess you have to use active duty people, not National Guardsmen. National Guardsmen aren't meant to go fight foreign wars. National Guard is the guard of our homeland, America, right? Minnesota and then wherever, not to go fight in Kuwait or Iraq or Afghanistan or wherever the hell we're going. And that's what's been happening, you know. And then when you're over there, you're not, even when you come home, you're still not treated as you were active duty. When you're over there, you die the same, right? But you don't have the same benefits, and it's bullshit.
I guess my question is we deployed the National Guard, our Minnesota National Guard, at the request of the Secretary of Defense. And the President, right? But it is the governor who was able to release the National Guard for those deployments.
As far as I understand, right?
So the Montgomery Act in '86, and this is what Liz is talking about with the Purpich lawsuits, is that Montgomery Act federalized the National Guard while they're active duty training.
Right.
And so every contract for the National Guard, you have 1 week in a month, which is technically not active duty. But you have 2 weeks out of every year that you are activated, and that counts towards active duty. And that's with the chain of command would be the president down, because that's active duty service. So while they're in the National Guard, it's just 1 week of the year, the governor is at the top of the chain of command. But once they start active duty service, then it is the president. And there was another, like, remember on your ESRB, you had your basic active service date. So a basic active service date from a National Guard perspective changes because you have 2 weeks here and 2 weeks here and 2 weeks here. And your basic training, your AIT, or your advanced training, that all counts towards basic active service date. So that's different than just like your original enlisted date. So while you're active duty, you do fall under the president, but while you were just in active duty, which is 1 week in the month, that's when you fall under the governor of the state. But that ultimately the governor technically is supposed to have some say in it, but that has been, they've chipped away at that, the state's rights power, to be able to keep going that way. So.
So my question for you is, if you see a general come to testify against this bill, will you commit to pursuing criminal charges against them for violating the Hatch Act?
I was just talking about that. I think with Drew or Brett over here, it's because Matt Liston said, the general said that we can't do this and it'll take money away. Well, they're not supposed to be getting involved in politics, my understanding, correct? So
they're not allowed to lobby.
Right. So I said, who was that general that told you that? Because it sounds like Pete Hegseth wants you to be cleaning that toilet with a toothpick. Well, I'm not going to tell you that. Like, I think there's 3 generals in Minnesota. So let's pick one of, it's one of them then, right? So they're going to deny that they talked. I'm guessing if it would come to that, but yes, am I going to press charges?
Whatever you can do.
Right. I would say we should make sure that if a general were to come in uniform, that we follow up and do what we can. I'm not going to say I'm going to press charges because I don't have the money and I can't do that. But someone should follow up and make sure that the right measures are taken. It's a pretty good political answer, huh?
I'll take it.
Yeah. No, that's wrong, and they shouldn't do that. More questions? Yeah.
So, talk about Chair Bliss in the House. What about Eric?
As far as so I'm working through the House right now, hoping that if we can hear it, because we have the majority, that's why we're trying to hear these things in the House and then get them heard in the Senate. Because if we can get them heard in the House, they have the hearing, then hopefully we can get them. And typically, that's the way legislature moves, anyways. We get it heard in the House and heard in the Senate. So if we can get it heard in the House and get it heard in the Senate, we'll get there. So Eric Putnam always says, "Oh, I want to do the right thing and I want to work with everybody and we're going to work together." You know, he should be here. Where's he invited? No. Anyway, well, then I won't give a shit about me here, but once we get a hearing in the House, I will talk more to him about getting a hearing in the Senate, but we haven't really gone down that path, so we haven't got the hearing in the House. Jory Westrom, I'm sure he's on board. I haven't really talked with him at length about this, but he's a good dude. He's on our side. I think he'd be on board with this, and he would like it. He's very common sense and I'm an asshole. My money. Why are you laughing back there? Yeah, more questions? Is there something, I mean, want to talk about anything? You want to move on or?
I mean, I guess what we can do specifically to just, keep up the fire because Bliss is starting to crack.
Right, and yeah, so every time you make a phone call or an email or you talk to somebody, say, you need to do this and this is why, and you're not being like, we not be mean, but you talk to them and say, you need to do this for the people that are getting involved in the National Guard. They got involved in the National Guard not to go fight in Iraq. They're getting involved in the National Guard for whatever reason it is, because they want to do some kind of service, or maybe they didn't know what they want to do, so they got involved in the Guard, but it wasn't to go fight foreign wars. And we need to stop fighting in all these foreign wars. We need to stop all these engagements that never end. We were in Afghanistan for 20 years, and now it's worse. We were in Iraq for how long, and now it's worse. I'm not saying that these dudes over there are good guys, but we take them out and then it explodes, right? And we need to take care of us at home. And then we go pick a fight and piss everybody off. How about we not piss those people off and just leave them alone and we deal with what we're doing over here and not keep fighting these wars? So I'm hoping we can really push forward with Trump in office right now. And he's got a second chance to do what he tried to do the first time. And when we had the Abraham Accords when Trump was president, we had peace in the Middle East because everyone's afraid because we're going to kick their ass. We're already strong. Don't piss us off, right? If we have to fight, we're going to go fight, but we shouldn't. That's the last option. We just shouldn't keep opening the barrel over the world. Let's watch our home.
Let's be realistic. There's no profit in peace.
Well, no, but we should be profiting off of killing our people, right? That's bullshit.
So carrying things for all day.
But you need to email these people, you need to call them and say, this is what you have to do, and what you're doing is hurting people and you're killing people, and we gotta look out for each other. And there's no reason we gotta keep fighting these wars. We can keep working on technology and doing the thing, but we can't be killing people. More questions or? Oh, okay. Well, I know you gave me 45 minutes and I don't know how much more I can talk about this, right? If you have questions, I can answer them. I can talk about wolves, I can talk about education, I can talk about anything. I can talk about beavers. Yeah, you can call me on the phone and ask me questions. I will tell you about beavers. So, Jenny, come here. Come away. So last year in Minnesota, I'll get to you right after this. Last year in Minnesota, there was a law that was passed to make it illegal to eat beavers. So, so if you kill a nuisance beaver, you're not supposed to eat it. So if you trap it for fur, you can eat it. But if it's like disturbing your lake shore or something and you kill it, you're not supposed to eat it, which is stupid because wanton waste is illegal. But it's okay to kill a nuisance beaver and then you're just supposed to throw it away. So that bill came I'm not gonna get all into it, but I changed the law in the Senate. We all voted 76-0 to say we're going to eat beaver. And then it went back to the House and they put it back in, you can't eat beaver. So I came back to the floor and I talked on the Senate floor for about 3 minutes about how much I love eating beaver and how good it tastes. And it was fun. So I thought it was gone. I thought we'd eat the bill. I thought we could eat beaver. And then in July, I get a phone call from Star Tribune. Why can't we eat beaver in there? Well, it's just the Democrats because they put it in there, right? So still, we're retracting the law, but it is currently illegal to eat nuisance beavers. So careful when you go to the bar. But
Yes, nuisance ones. Respectable ones are okay.
Exactly. But so on March 22nd, I am having a beaver eating fundraiser in Little Falls. So yeah.
I had a question about what you would suggest instead. It's from your rhetoric and almost done.
I can't hear you.
Make sure it's green.
That's hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. So from your rhetoric, it almost sounds like you still support U.S. intervention in foreign affairs, just not militarily, from economic, political, and strength perspectives. And I feel like those types of interventions is what causes most of these actual military-based wars so far. Most U.S. like interventionist policy around the world has led to more wars and more violence, whether U.S. soldiers or not. Would you support having the U.S. do less around the world overall in every aspect of like foreign affairs?
Well, yes. So that's why I was saying there are times where there might be something we have to do. If it is going to be in our best interest and have to do something, we have to fight, right? I mean, I'm not going to get into all the whatever we did in World War II and whatever, right? But there are times we might have to get involved in something that we should do it. But otherwise, we need to not be fighting everywhere and hoping to prepare everywhere. And we need to just worry about here first and not pissing everybody else off all over the world. But if we find out something and we know that North Korea is going to blow up America, well, maybe we have to go fight over it. I don't, right? I mean, I'm looking, I'm fortune telling. I don't know what's going to happen, but yes, we should have strong defense. I mean, I carry a gun because if something happens, I want to be ready for it, right? But I never want to use it, so no, I guess I don't know how to exactly answer your question, and I don't get into geopolitical world politics either, right? But I think we need to protect our own homeland and our country and just stay here and not be getting involved in everything over the world. Anybody else? So, wolves, you want me to talk about wolves? I love talking about wolves. So, I actually heard, I'm not going to get into the specifics, but Walls is asking for a wolf hunt. So that's a big push forward. I know why, but I'm not going to say it right now. But I do know that nationally they did stop funding giving money to farmers. But there's a big push. And so if people don't know, I'm a wildlife biologist. I used to work for the DNR. I quit working for the DNR because the government sucks. And if we're going to be a government agency that's based on science, then we should do science, not politics. It's been political forever, but it's even more so in the last couple of decades. It's all politics, no science. So I left the DNR. I started my own wildlife research company. I was hired by the DNR multiple times to do research. I did a bunch of work at Camp Group. They do in research. Actually, we found a dead fisher today outside our house. It's kind of not right outside our house, but outside the road. So that was fun. I used to work with fishers, but so I'm getting back to wolves. I've done wolf research for almost 18 years. So I understand both wolves and why we need to manage them. And I've been going around the state with Steve Porter started an organization, Hunters for Hunters. Well, him and his son probably about a year and a half ago. And really, they're just trying to look out for the outdoorsmen and the outdoor sports where you get organizations like Pheasants Forever, Ducks Unlimited, Minnesota Deer Hunters Association. They all start out small, doing the thing, trying to save, or preserve wildlife for us to hunt. And then as they get bigger and then they start taking corporate money, then they have to start doing what the big guy says, right? So now we're trying to get back to the grassroots, and we went around talking to people for, did like 25 talks about wolves last year, and just educating people about, like, the first one, if you want to kill the wolves, they need to be managed. They're not being managed properly. So rather than just shoot, shovel, shut up, how about we properly manage them? We can have a season. We can use that money. So my bill is going to have part of the money that we raise going back to farmers, because farmers are getting screwed. They're not getting barely anything for wolves that are killing their cattle. So I'm going to write it so a good portion of that will go back to farmers. I'm going to write it so the Minnesota DNR is going to be involved as little as possible. So they have a wolf management plan, but that wolf management plan says it could take up to 3 years to have a wolf hunt. So we're just going to use the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services recommendations is top out at 1,400 wolves in Minnesota. We were there in like 1989. So, I'm not going to go all nerdy anymore, but hopefully we'll have a wolf hunt by September. I got the bill in the works, and we're going to really push for that too. So, I'm on Environment Committee, Education Policy, Labor, and the Veterans Subcommittee. I have been education sucks in Minnesota, and I'm hoping that with Trump's orders, if you do all this crap and not educate, I'm hoping that'll help. Like obviously many people can't afford to homeschool their kids or whatever, right? So they're in public education, but it's not public education. We're indoctrinating our kids. So I'm hoping that if he does what he says he's gonna do, withhold $38 billion from public education, that's gonna make them stop what they're doing real quick. Otherwise, we're not gonna have funding. And then we get back to teaching math and science and reading and not cutting off things and talking about purple hair or whatever, that's not what education is. You can do whatever you want, leave my kids alone, and we need to educate our children and not hurt them. So I sit through that every day, and that's a pain in the ass. But in labor too, it's just, we're pushing people out of Minnesota, and it's just socialism, communism. And if you work hard and believe in freedom, you're an evil person. It's not true, obviously, but that's what they think. So, any other questions or, yeah?
Opinion on Bigfoot.
On Bigfoot, he's not real. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah, so I know, I talked about that last year. Senator Steve Green has that bill right now. I want to talk, so I don't think it's a bad idea. And the reason behind the bill is the Department of Natural Resources is using conservation officers to do the dirty work and pushing these guys to do things that are unconstitutional. So if we put the sheriffs in charge of them, we're hoping to rein them in a little bit better, and we'll have to follow the Constitution. If they're going to come on your property, they're going to need a warrant, which they're not doing right now. I've been also working very much trying to save the deer farms in Minnesota. Everything we're doing, it's just a shit show. It's unconstitutional. The DNR is trying to shut down deer farms. They're coming on the property without a warrant. They can't do that. That's illegal. People have told them, deer farmers have told seals, you can't come on my land, and they left. We've actually had sheriffs at the deer farmer's farm when the seal showed up, and the sheriff said, you're not coming on the property, which is good. We need every sheriff to do that. But we also, we don't want to fight. We need to work on getting along, right? So I have talked with CEOs and sheriffs, and I want to sit down since it's going to affect them both, and let's sit at the table and figure out how do we do this, right? If you're going to keep violating my rights, then I guess the CEOs have to be under the sheriff's rules. But if you're going to say, okay, maybe conservation officers should have to get a warrant before they come on your property, unless if you call in one someone's trying to kill you, it's different, right? But to just come in, you're going to come to my house and look through my freezer because I have some fish to feed my family? No, baloney, that's wrong, but they can. So that's what that's for. There's he's got another bill that I'm on. I don't think I'm on that one because I want to have a conversation before I get on it, right? But there's another one requiring that seals must get a warrant before they come on your property. So currently they don't need to, and I have talked to, that's just common sense, right? If you're going to come on my property, especially all the laws written for deer farms, if you do not abide by their stupid fence rule, which says you have to have whatever for a fence, if you don't do that, we are going to come on your property and we're going to kill all your animals. That's illegal. It's unconstitutional. They can't come on your property and kill all your deer because you did put up a piece of fence. So, and in Minnesota, deer are considered livestock. They're not wild animals. So they must be treated as livestock. And we're not doing that. So, and even in the deer farms in Minnesota, the USDA has a level that you have to follow here. Deer farmers are already above what the USDA is asking. So let's help them grow and not hurt them. It's all about CWD and lies and science, and what they're doing is saying the deer farms are hurting wild deer CWD. That's not true. I've got papers showing that it's not true. I've got scientists that have had peer-reviewed papers saying it's not true. And now we have found genetics. I don't know if anyone's familiar with scrapie and sheep, but we bred scrapie out of sheep with genetics. It's prion. It's the exact same thing that's happening in deer. We have a farmer in Wisconsin who's been breeding CWD out of his deer. And so we're bringing those genetics into Minnesota. Now we're doing it here. So we're literally breeding CWD out of deer, but the DNR is still going to kill all the deer and shut the deer farms down. What's that? I've tried the CWD, and it's a bunch of, I've been following CWD for like 25 years now. And it's there, but our deer are still there. Nothing's really changed. We haven't got any scientific evidence except for now we have found out how to get rid of it. Actually, the Pennsylvania Department of Natural Resources is working with their deer farmers and they're helping them breed CWD out of their deer farms. Minnesota is trying to shut business down. Again, another one. So. Anybody else? Oh, that was loud. Hey, yeah, that's what I'm about. Anything else you want me to say?
Thank you.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
So, yeah, thank you guys.
All right. Back to platform and bylaws. Thank you, Senator Wiesenberg, for coming. And actually, I mean, if I haven't said this for everybody that's still here and speaking, or is about to speak, thank you guys for showing up. I know this was a trip to be able to make. So appreciate your time. All right, so we are going to back to platform and bylaws, at least for a little bit. Woo-hoo.
Oh, boy.
It's only for an hour. It's which proposal are we on? 5. All right, so how many do we have to go? 14. All right, so we're through 4 out of 14 of them. And remember, how many did we do last year? 11? 12. 12? Okay, so
We are perfect.
yeah, just try to keep that up. Wait.
Hey, everyone. Proposal number 5, it is on page 7 if you're following. Is it there? This proposal came about because there was a bill introduced in the legislature to change the primary date from August to March. I spoke with Representative Roach, who advises this bill is unlikely to pass, but in an abundance of caution, we wanted to have something in our bylaws in there to protect us. The reason this would be a problem if they move the bylaws, if they move the primary to March, is that would shift the collection period for signatures to like December. We are prohibited by our bylaws from endorsing anyone in a year other than when the election takes place. Does that make sense? We can't nominate anyone for Senate, US Senate this year. We have to wait till next year. There's some pros and cons to changing that, but we're not going to tackle that. Instead, we took a scalpel to this. And we just changed the authorization for the executive committee. In the event that we need to, the executive committee could nominate for our party a candidate. And this would only come about if the candidate filing period for an office is scheduled in the year prior to the general election. It's a little complicated, but do people follow? Okay. So, any questions? Entertain a motion to, oh, you have a question?
I'm not a member. I just wanted to know that I shared with your chair, some specific information about this bill that you may want to share.
I haven't had a chance to look at that.
But as far as the potential impacts on our.
Yeah, well,
Beyond what you said. It's, basically the entire legislative year would then take place after filing deadline. So there'd be far less accountability for legislators.
and we're not speaking to the mayors.
Yeah, but you may want to hear it. You're absolutely right about filing.
Yeah.
Everybody not to be with so Christmas vacation. This numbers this. Covers that.
That contingency.
Yes.
If we find the filing period is in the year prior to the election, we need an ability to nominate somebody at that point. And this gives the executive committee the authority to do that. Because obviously we couldn't convene this convention. Undertake, no, okay, Bob's moved. Okay, Clinton has seconded. All in, any discussion?
Wait, what is going on?
We're moving.
Removing which passage?
All in favor, if there's no discussion, all in favor of passing proposal 5?
Removing.
No,
So
we're
this
just,
is-
we're just voting.
I know. Okay, so but as is.
Yes.
Okay.
All in favor? Any opposition? Any abstentions? Passes.
Good job, Chip.
Who made the motion? And then who seconded it?
Clinton.
Clint.
All right, I've got the next one, proposal 6, amend bylaws 6.5 and 10.3 to remove requirements for candidates that are not enforced. The rationale for this, the amendment would strike several requirements applicable to candidates seeking party endorsement that have routinely gone unenforced by past convention bodies. To expand upon this further, some of these things are actually unenforceable given that we allow for nominations. Does anyone have any particular questions about the intent or mechanism of this amendment? This proposal, rather.
You can read it. It's long.
Yeah, that's fair. It is a long one.
You want, would you be able to read this, the lines that are stricken from them?
Okay, all right. So the lines that are stricken from the markup copy are in 6.5, the line, all candidates wishing to have their name placed in nomination shall file notice of their intent by the time established by the convention committee. This is unenforceable given that we accept 4 nominations. In 10.3, all of 10.3.2, all candidates seeking nomination or endorsement shall file notice of their intent by the time established by the convention committee. Same reasoning as deleting 6.5. Most of 10.3.3 candidates shall provide a notice of intent and written information on their qualifications, background, campaign positions, and any other information they deem relevant. The candidate shall provide a minimum of 25 copies of this information to be made available to the convention delegates. Again, completely unenforceable if we allow for nominations. In 10.3.4, no votes to nominate or endorse shall be binding unless all members of the executive committee, so that would be the outgoing executive committee, have been provided with basic information on the candidate, which may include campaign literature, a campaign website, or a summary of their positions and principles at least 7 days prior to the convention. Again, unenforceable for several reasons this time, in a case where we allow more nominations. And that's the extent of the removals. Any further questions? Nick?
I move to accept the proposal.
All right, I have a motion from Nick and a second from Bob.
Oh, sorry, what?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Nay. Carries.
Okay.
4 seconds.
Next two, actually.
Uh,
That's pretty simple.
Proposal 7. Okay. Proposal 7, amend bylaws 9.2 to 12-month membership renewable at convention with delegate eligibility. So at our last convention,
We updated the language around, membership for seasoning to add a, you?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I'll get my words together. I'll be ready for the next one.
Are we on 7?
This is 7, yes.
Okay, so amendment bylaws 9.2 from, to a 12-month membership renewable at convention with delegate eligibility. So right now, we have an 18-month period that somebody had to have been a member in that, so at some point in that 18 months prior to convention. So they can't just jump in at convention, be like, oh, I was a member 10 years ago, and I want to be a member again, and then also vote at our convention. So they have to re-go through that seasoning period. And right now, our bylaws aren't, or they weren't very clear after last year. Last year, we changed it to 18 months, and this year we're suggesting to shorten it to 12 months. So that's the rationale. The wording would simply be in proposal or 9.2 to cross out 18 months and change it to 12 months. Is there any questions? Nick?
I move to accept the proposal,
Second.
All right, so Nick and made that motion and then Mitch seconded it. Anything else in regards to the amendment on the floor? Yes.
So it's going from 18 months to 12 months, which is
Yeah.
fine. I'm just curious, so why the first number was there to begin with and why is 12 better?
Arbitrary dates. Yeah.
That's just good.
New platform and bylaws committee.
18 was chosen in lieu of infinity. So,
Okay.
Anything else? All right, so we have a motion on the floor and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries.
All right, I'm ready to do this.
Okay.
Proposal 8, amend bylaws 9.2 to add back dues fees for delegates renewing LPMN membership at convention. So this writes a currently unwritten policy, which is if somebody is not current on their dues, then and wants to vote at convention, the policy that I have is, I'll just read the added language here because it explains it. Those whose memberships are no longer current, but are within the window for renewal, that window being the 18 months that we just changed to 12, shall pay sufficient back dues to cover the lesser of the annual basic membership cost or the value of their outstanding unpaid dues. So if you're a Legacy Club member and you're paying $50 a month and your membership lapses and then convention comes around, you don't have to pay us $100 or $150 to make your membership current again. You can just give me $30 at the door and that makes you current again. If you were on $5 a month plan, then if your membership is lapsed, but then you want to go to convention and vote, then it's just the $5 or $10. You don't have to give me a full $30. So it's forgiving in that way. Does anyone have any questions? Nick?
I vote to accept the proposal by voice vote.
Nick, could you please give people a chance to ask questions if they have them?
I'd be nice.
I agree.
These are all really good ideas and I support them.
All right, motion's been made.
Second.
Made by Nick and seconded by Mitch. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, I'm hearing murmurings. I'd say it carries. That's it.
One quick order of business. I'm looking for a friendly motion from the floor to move the awards on the agenda from 6:30 until after the speakers are done. So if somebody would like to make that motion.
I make that motion.
Chet makes that motion, Clinton seconds it. All right, so that technically means we're not adjourning until after the second speaker is done, just to be clear. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Hey, Nick, allow questions.
Very obvious work. What's the questions?
I mean, it's nice to make this progress, but we want to earn it.
Yeah, but all the word nerds aren't here to correct us.
Word nerds are on the PBC.
So we are on page 11, proposal 9. And this is to amend bylaw 6.3 designating affiliate representatives on the executive committee. So this kind of does two things. One, it changes the word for the affiliate representative from acting executive, which is currently in our bylaws, to affiliate representatives. The second thing it does is more substantive in my mind. It says that the representative to the executive committee shall be the affiliate chair unless another affiliate member is elected at that affiliate's convention. So I can think of a CD over there or an affiliate over there, which might appreciate this arrangement. The other intent, I will be clear, is it's meant to prohibit substitutions for alternates to represent you. When you think of there's guys here, but there is no alternates. If an alternate doesn't show, that vote goes vacant. We don't want to have a situation, especially if we had many more affiliates, where who's representing the affiliate this meeting may change to the next one. And one value of attending meetings consecutively is you get the institutional knowledge of what was discussed at meeting 2 meetings ago. So you're not constantly re-educating yourself. It's important to be there for all the meetings all year round. So that's the other change that it makes. Are there any questions? Nick?
So my question is around whether or not you consider if this bylaw takes into consideration multiple people elected to be potential representatives like that. I'm just wondering how specific the party is trying to dictate the process.
Well, the wording is that, it would be the affiliate chair unless another affiliate member, singular, is elected at the affiliate convention. So I think your CD convention is next week. So if this were to pass, we would presume that your chair is your representative. But if the chair does not want to do that job, your affiliate should select somebody else. And that person would carry on through the year. Any other questions? Okay, I'll recognize Nick. Is there a second? Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, passes. Joy, you're up. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm up. Proposal 10. So this is a technical amendment. You recall last year we, if I recall correctly, we allowed remote participation for the executive committee. We had earlier provided in our bylaws that affiliate representatives, as they are now known, could participate via Zoom. We don't need that anymore. It's just redundant language. So this would strike that.
I make a motion to free my boy Nick to make a motion to approve.
Motion to accept amendment
Okay, is there a second? Second motion. Wait, Sean.
What did he say?
Sean second.
What was the actual vote?
Okay.
Oh, right.
And then Sean.
Okay.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? Passes. Thank you. Now you're. All right, now it's. Proposal 11.
It's like speed dating all of a sudden.
Welcome back, everyone. Proposal 11. Amend bylaws 10.3 to remove the explicit number of minutes from the description of time granted to candidates at convention. In this one, we're replacing the number of minutes that candidates are given at convention to speak, from 5 minutes, a specific time, to just the word time. The intention is that we're granting the convention body more authority to determine how much or how little time candidates should be given to speak before the convention body. This is not intended to discriminate against individual candidates, but more so if we have a large number of people who are all running for at large, or a large number of people who are running for some other race, that the convention body is allowed to provide a lesser amount of time for each of those candidates to speak. Does anyone have any questions about this? Jason?
So this allows us to basically say, well, we've got 2 people, 5 minutes each, or 3 minutes each, rather than having it in our bylaws that we have a written amount of time.
Yes. It allows the convention body or the chair to make that decision rather than relying on the written bylaws. So if the convention body deems that it is more appropriate to have a different number of minutes, it can do so.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
So how and when do we determine this time? Randomly as we go along? or-
No, it would be in the agenda. So if there is an objection to the amount of time that is allowed for candidates to speak, then it should be dealt with as an amendment to the agenda to modify that time.
I have a question.
Yes?
So, time kind of seems I don't mean to be nitpicky about the details and stuff. It's my first time actually talking about bylaws. Time kind of seems kind of vague, but my idea is like, instead of just saying time, we can say shall have sufficient time. Is that okay?
Well, who determines what sufficient is? Does the, there we go. We found the man who watches the watchers every month.
Timekeeper.
Can I, since I'm not. Thanks.
Yeah.
So I would be in support of this because this is something that the convention committee should have control of. And so if you are interested in having a part in saying like what the agenda says and who has what amount of time, I highly recommend volunteering on the convention committee who would be setting that agenda. And so this isn't something we need in the bylaws because we're just, the people who are on the floor making the decisions on what the convention should look like should have that kind of power.
I moved to amend the proposal to specifically say that the candidate designee shall be offered equal time. So that if we're deciding there are 2 people running for a contentious chair debate, we want to have 20 minutes on each of them. Or if there are 20 people running for at large, we each get 1 minute, but that it must be equal and everyone is offered equal time.
All right, that seems reasonable to me, but I would suggest that would leave open the possibility of giving 0 seconds of time to all of them, because that is equal.
No.
Why not?
The 0 time is relevant. It doesn't exist. So you have to have time.
2 seconds.
How about equal non?
Well, it's okay, then vote for 2 seconds, but the delegation.
Okay, that's fair.
Equal time as determined by the convention.
On the clock.
You're gonna want to talk yourself out of this.
I would say convention committee would be prior to the convention. We're elected for. So, I like.
All right, Bob?
Make a motion. Make a motion to accept, change as proposed by the PUC. Bylaws 10.3.
All right, before we get to that, there is a motion that's on the floor, but it hasn't been seconded yet. And does anyone want the second Carrie's amendment?
Second.
All right, it's been seconded. Try it. Sneaky. All right, is there any more discussion or debate on the amendment?
What's the exact word?
Yeah.
So I would say, candidates or their designees shall have shall be offered equal time. Okay, so that means that if somebody gives up their time early, they're not. I like that.
Do you really need that in platform?
But change the 5 minutes.
Yeah, but that, why was that? Why? Oh. I mean, taking it out and putting time, you can do whatever we want. We don't need this, we don't need to start specifying how. We just put time in it. We can do whatever we want.
I think it's
a problem.
I have a question.
yeah, next.
How would the JC do time?
All right.
Is this what we're going with for that motion? What's the other motion?
And the same change in 10.5 as well.
Okay.
That's right.
Are we still discussing?
I believe so. Jason?
Would it make sense to put in the, amendment, shall offer equal time determined by convention planning committee?
No,
Okay.
no, because the convention body can and should supersede whatever the committee came up with.
Okay, that makes sense.
I see Nick.
Make a motion to accept the amendment to the proposal.
All right. There's been a motion. There's been a second. All those in favor of accepting the amendment to the proposal? Aye.
Aye.
All those who oppose? All right, the amendment is now adopted in part of the proposal. Any further discussion on the main proposal? Nick?
Make a motion to accept the proposal. Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Who shouted that second? All right. Bob? All right. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, motion carries. Now, well, let's go back to the Okay, if we pass this one, we will time in.
Nick's ready.
Okay, we are at, on page 14, it's proposal number 12, to amend bylaws 7.4, so the platform and bylaws committee may elect any committee member as the chair. So, 2 years ago, we amended our bylaws to elect platform and bylaw committees, members at the convention. Prior to that, they had just been appointed by the executive committee. And I realized early on, as I'm just reviewing the bylaws, that I, as vice chair, was not able to serve as the chair of the platform bylaws committee. Oh, truth be told, it came as a relief to me, and I was glad that Aaron stepped up to the chair. But that being said, I think a vice chair or the chair of the committee of party. Would, in some circumstances, it may be desirable for everyone's sake that they serve as chair. This corrects that situation. So now anyone, it would no longer limit the chair of the Platform and Bylaws Committee to those who are elected at convention. It would also open it up to the chair and vice chair who just serve on it automatically. Any questions?
Nick?
Make a motion to accept over 12 resolutions.
Is there a second?
I second.
I think Sean was first.
Hey.
Any discussion?
Practice makes perfect.
All in favor? All opposed? Abstentions? Passes. And Eric, you are up.
It's all good.
Okay, so proposal 13 is really just cleaning up some stray language left over from an amendment that passed in 2020. For a time, the communications director and the political director were voting members of the executive committee, and that was changed. They are no longer voting members of the executive committee as per the bylaws change that was approved in 2024. But there was like some stray wording left over in one of the other passages of the bylaws. And so if you look at proposal 13 in bylaw section 6.6, it says election of officers and directors. Well, the directors are not elected at convention. They are appointed and approved by the executive committee. They're not voting members of the executive committee. I'm the political director, excuse me, I'm the outreach director right now. Chip's political, I'm the outreach director, but I'm not a voting member of the EC right now. Outreach director, but I'm not a voting member. So I was not elected at convention. I was appointed and approved by the executive committee. So all this is doing is deleting the words. It says election of officers and directors. Well, the directors aren't voting members. They aren't elected. So it deletes and directors, and then it does some similar deletion, deleting the words political director or comms director. And for grammar, it adds the word or periods. So that's it. Any questions on that?
Yeah, I thought at one point we did said political director of communications elected at convention.
They were, but that was changed in 2024. They are no longer.
Okay. Listen.
So if there are a friendly motion to do something with this,
I will make a motion to accept the proposed changes of the bylaws 0.6.
is there a second? So all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I abstain.
All right, I have proposal 14 here, amend bylaws 9.1 to delete obsolete wording about committee appointments. This is stray language from before the platform and bylaws committees were separated. Before they were separated, but not just before they were separated, before the singular platform and bylaws committee was elected at convention. So it entitled the executive committee to create those committees. But that does not need to be done because
those committees are already created by the bylaws. Does anyone have any questions? Nick? All right, we gave that second. All right, we'll give it to Bob this time.
Yeah, Bob.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
All those opposed, nay?
Stay.
Motion carries.
That's the closest we're getting to noted this year.
Bill's ready.
All right, this is the last one. This is the big one. So somebody want to get the people out in the hallway that are
I'll go.
not being real libertarians? Okay.
Real libertarians suffer from the platform proposals.
No, real libertarians are on their farms, not being bothered.
Okay, so this is proposal 15, which would revise the platform to a short and general list of principles instead of the extremely lengthy and verbose platform that we have now. The general idea of this is that Chip and I in particular on the Platform Bylaws Committee, we like the idea of sort of minimalism. And the current platform, it's got a lot of good stuff in it. But also it's got some stuff that, it's possible for people to disagree on. Going back to sort of the minarchist versus anarchist thing, what is the proper role of government? And it also highlights issues where when you're trying to reach out to non-political people over Republicans and Democrats, and trying to win them over on our side, and this whole list of very specific issues that they can look through and go and find all the things they disagree on. So our idea is we went to and looked at what other states were doing. We talked to the chair of the Ohio party, and looked at a bunch of other states, and there's very diverse, different libertarian parties in different states have different platforms. Some of them are sort of like our existing platform, and some of them are sort of like a new platform that we're proposing. And so if you look at the last page of your packet, there's the platform if proposal 15 is adopted. And you'll see it's Roman numerals 2 through 5, and then through the end of the text on that page. That would be the new platform if adopted. The earlier several pages is the existing platform. So that's the general idea. I expect this is going to be very controversial. I expect that people will have differing opinions about this. And maybe at some point they will be on the own. So anyway, looking for comments.
Just a comment on.
Okay, Nick.
I just want to say that I fully support this. I really love this. In fact, I know other people will have questions around us losing a lot of context around specific issues. But I also know that a solution has been offered up, right? Papers on these specific issues and have been posted on the website. And so I just know that some people are concerned about that. So I would just say, as communications director, I promise to make it an effort to get those papers ready on the website to alleviate some of those concerns. As fast as possible.
Okay, and I'll just add quickly to what Nick was saying. I don't want to memory hole our existing platform. We can make it available in the short term on the website, and then in the longer term, sort of rework it into policy papers. And so you will hopefully be able to find specific things that the Libertarian Party, specific policy proposals the Libertarian Party has, even if they're not in the platform. Carrie.
Yes.
So I completely oppose this, particularly this form for a myriad of reasons. Not the least of which is that the proposal number 3 has a direct appeal to authority by saying we affirm no lawful right exists, that a right is only contingent on if it is lawful. So that right there is a glaring problem. First of all, or secondly, having examples of issues like this for people when they are coming to look at what libertarianism is, will avoid the filtering through what they already believe, that confirmation bias. So as we saw, there's a large difference in various libertarian candidates in the past election and their prescribed policies that they support as they are applying the quote unquote same libertarian principles. So people can say they are supporting for liberty and freedom and medical freedom and mean the exact opposite things. So if people are coming to learn about libertarianism and we have something that says what we really oppose about this is coercion, government force, and intrusion in the medical decision, that at least provides some additional guidance. Now, I agree that there are a fair amount of these in here that could be removed full cloth, a bit completely be reworded. We proved last year that we can rework entire sections. We just need to have somebody who passionately cares about one particular part of the bylaw and who will rewrite it and explain it, and then it can be completely fixed. And we did that last year with the population and coercion, the former abortion. Lastly, repealing something as it's just general gut instinct, statutory construction. When you repeal something or remove it, there is an implication that it is no longer that there is being a change made or some sort of statement or we no longer agree with their business. So by simply putting it up on the website and saying this is what they used to be, that doesn't mean like that sends a message that this is what it used to be, but we repealed it. And so people might receive the exact opposite message instead of saying, oh, they hold some of these similar beliefs. It's in fact saying we no longer believe this.
Okay, Carrie made some very good points. I'd just like to respond to a couple of points.
Actually, technically, if you're gonna chair this,
Oh,
then I will.
you can speak for the, okay. You can.
Okay. So Carrie had a minute.
It's anybody in favor? We got favor, we got opposition in favor. Okay. As the person who wrote it, I just want to comment on sort of the idea here. As to lawful, I disagree that sort of implies a government or a state. There's lawful in sort of a Rothbardian sense of justice. And as to repealing it and putting it on the website, implying that we now disagree with all these points, I don't want to put it on the website saying this is the old platform we repealed. I want to put it on the website as these are policy proposals from the Libertarian Party. I think that's a very different thing. And that's all I want to say on it.
Okay, anybody else? I'm sorry, I don't know your name. Alex?
In favor or opposition?
I've got to get it really simple here is that these four things that you outlined are so simple that any average Democrat or Republican will take one look at that and say, hey, I agree with this. They're not different from me. I don't need to change anything. When you have a platform that actually outlines each individual topic that we believe in, it has more actual basis to it. We can take one look and see self-ownership and hey, I actually believe in that. I don't even need to look at your policy proposals right now. We agree. I'm going to keep voting who I've been voting and maintain our current system.
Oh, wait a second.
You raise your hand? Did you raise your hand?
I think, I'm not sure who's first. Paper rock, scissors.
Approve or opposition? We're approving.
Okay.
Anybody else who in favor of?
Oh, Harrison.
In favor?
I am not going to make an amendment now, but I'm going to humbly suggest that the word lawful could either be removed outright or replaced with the word legitimate, and that would address one of the things.
You standing in favor of the current proposal?
I'm speaking in favor of the salvageability of the current proposal.
Okay.
That's irrelevant.
All right. I think what we'll do is we're just gonna go. Harrison has had his hand up, I think, the longest, so.
Favor or opposition?
He's in favor.
I need opposition. Eric?
This is written really well, but deleting our current platform would be premature without what I believe is necessary work to be done before. So if we were going to write position papers, we should have some sort of approval process for those position papers. So if the executive committee, for example, designated a group to approve position papers, and then if we had position papers written and approved by the executive committee or the executive committee's designated group, if we had all of those in place, then we could possibly, then entertaining a proposal like this where we delete several pages of platform and replace it with a simple platform, that might be appropriate at that time. But deleting it without having the work done ahead of time for position paper seems like we're losing too much. And I'll mention that our standard operating practices, for example, it's been many years since those were updated. I know a few people have said that like, hey, we'll be writing these position papers, but we should have them first. That's my.
Okay. Anybody in?
I like responded to a couple of points, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
You turn it on, I think.
Hello. Okay. What was it, Alex in the back?
Yeah.
Okay, I had a couple points I wanted to respond to that you made, one about Dems and cons piggybacking on us. They're gonna do that anyway, they do it all the time. I don't think keeping any of this stuff is going to prevent them from doing that because they could just pick and choose parts they like, and parts that they don't like, and just piggyback off those as it exists now. There was some mention, I don't remember if it was you or somebody else, oh no, I think it was, yeah, maybe, about like getting rid of an explanation of what we believe. But a lot of these things kind of fall on the Dallas Accord divide of, incrementalism versus just outright anarchy right now. So like with the abortion flank back, at last convention, both sides could be justified on libertarian principles, depending on the basic facts. So the divide has absolutely nothing to do with actual libertarianism. It just has to do with biology, which is not what we're here to deliberate. So in regards to all of these points that kind of fall on that divide, I don't see them as being canonical to libertarianism, and therefore they're not necessary. They are ongoing debates, and I think we should continue to discuss them in position papers. But I don't think we should be taking the hard stand as a state party in either direction. I think we can't justify themselves.
Buttons next.
So I just want to start out by saying that in general, I do believe this is very well written, but we need to read more of the preamble of the platform rather than the platform itself. Internally, I think this is great language for libertarians, aggression, individual responsibility, individual rights, awesome. But if somebody is coming at this and they're looking at different parties, they're saying, okay, what's out there? What am I looking for? And they went straight to our platform saying, okay, what does the Libertarian Party of Minnesota do? And they read something like, okay, they're against initiative force against another person. Awesome, they're against guns. I can see somebody interpreting it that way. And I do have contention with that. I think it's a great preamble, but I don't think it should necessarily be the platform.
Wait, did you already went? Okay, so Bob.
I'm just gonna say that for this, nice, short, sweet, to the point, nobody reads anything anymore. This is the day of the internet, short little tiny tweets and stuff now. Nobody's gonna read through that whole platform. Nobody, I mean, look, at how huge this convention is. Sure, We're not beating down the door because we've got this wonderful platform. Putting something small in there, but something can read in a couple of minutes. And that's why it's up there on the website. Somebody can look at it very quickly. There it is. Take a look at the Republic. There's pages and pages and pages. Yes, nobody reads it. That's after. Yeah, that's after the short. It's nice. Quick to the point. If you want to have a position papers would be great, or even a blog where we can all sit down and argue with each other over what the analytics area is. And Thomas, students, goes space after, whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's a great idea. That sounds great.
All right, anybody else that would like to speak for the first time? Okay,
Can I take the liberty to speak in opposition to this proposal? I wholeheartedly disagree with this whole change of the platform. If we wanted to pick pieces of the platform to do away with, then fine. But I think this is a hasty, aggressive passage of a platform, and I think there's real repercussions that could happen based on the action taken on this.
thank you. Hold on a second. Bill's not saying anything.
It's Brian.
Right, I'm sorry, Brian.
Yeah, I do like how it is short and sweet. I do get how some people get confused, but it's to get more people involved in the party. And then we get them in here and then we convince them why guns are, the Second Amendment is good, right? It's to get the people that just go to the page and then they maybe go to a meeting and then they talk to us and see we're real people. You know, let's think that we're real, okay? So it's just, I like how it can get people, and maybe they do interpret that as saying that, hey, I am fitting in the party. Maybe not 100%, they might think that, get them in, and then start to change their mind a little bit at a time. But it's more inviting, and I don't think anyone is going to read the, whatever it is, 7 pages or so, that's on there. But,
Okay. Mitch, have you said anything yet? Okay, Mitch.
Whole question.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble
Call the
hearing.
question.
Call the question? So that forces the vote, right?
Yeah, vote on
Okay.
the question.
So all in favor of calling question, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay. It would be
Hands.
required.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yes.
I move to vote. Who wants to count?
Okay.
Roll.
All right, Joe, you want to?
Call the question. Second. It was not, it was. Yes, it was out to others.
Okay.
Maybe.
All right. Consensus, we didn't get 2/3 to call question.
I would agree.
All right, so who has not already spoken?
We're in favor, we're now in opposition.
Wait, Chips, have you said anything yet? Okay, I don't think it matters at this point in time. A lot of people have said something.
I'm gonna keep it even so we don't have.
Yeah.
Were we gonna say? Okay. I'm just gonna speak in opposition at this time. I like what it says, and I think it's a decent summary or preamble. And I think it's something that could be used on our webpage, just as a little blurb for somebody that's in a hurry, doesn't want to read the whole thing, whatever. But that doesn't mean it has to be the platform. Doesn't mean we can't have both.
Okay. Chip, had you already spoken? No, it's okay, so Chip's next.
So I sit on the platform bylaws committee with Bill. I inspired this. And like Bob, I'm a former Republican, and I remember how long their platform was. We would be on a path to having a long platform unless we get. We have 2 members, or one's a past member of our party, from other states who have short platforms. One is the mayor from Plymouth, who represents Sandra Fryman. from Ohio. Ohio happens to be one of the states with a short, platform, or principles over the phone book. And so I reached out to her, and we're not exactly close. But on this, we had a conversation, and she spoke highly. She noted that it doesn't get changed that much over time. It brings everyone together with a consensus of what the broader reasons why we all are in this room together and why we need more. So that's Ohio, where just taking it from her, she thought it worked. The other is Jimmy Hansen from Duluth. Jimmy comes to us from Utah. And Jimmy would have been here today, but I understand he has the sickness. On the last page where the principles that Bill has in the proposal, they are drawn largely from Utah's platform. And I had a great conversation with Jimmy as well. He's hoping he'd be here today to speak to it, but that it worked well. So I just wanted to speak to those two. If we pick the platform, which we have a tendency to do at some conventions, and end up spending a lot of time, which really doesn't have that much input. I remember a convention from a few years ago where we decided to put this non-controversial platform proposal right up front. And I think it was at the Ben Guard related. It was also, but I think this began after the Ben Guard issue. And we thought it would take 15 minutes and it ended up taking almost an hour. And that prevented us from getting to other needed platform proposals that we want. And I was just looking through here, what's an example of a plank that it's not libertarian. This has been years. Somebody thought it was needed, and it's on page 23. Number 11, rotation of legislative committee chairs. We support requiring the rotation of committee chairpersons and limiting their chairship to 4 years. How is that a libertarian? Is it a good idea? Maybe, but it's the kind of minutia that will creep into our platform over time. So I hope we can get more information.
I'll read all the other ones. If you're gonna pick your opposition,
And this is Carrie's concern as well. To repeal the platform in its entirety is not meant to signal that we oppose everything that we're repealing. That is not the point of this. It's a philosophical change of how we want to market our party to the outside. We want to have common sense. Those of us who had would prefer to have just a few set principles upon which we can all agree. And leave the policymakers for the.
Makes sense that we don't get forward.
All right, who has not spoken for the first time? You've spoken once. Has anybody else that has not spoken for the first time that wants to say something right now? Okay, just as a point of information, what's the percentage? Because this is a platform thing. What percentage do we have to pass this?
Majority, because it does not. We're not changing, Okay, 2/3, but it's not, we're not changing the statement of principles.
So
That's why
2/3.
it's not
How
well.
many people do we have here today?
There are 32 voting members.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
I want to state that I have changed my stance from support to be in opposition. I don't think it will break for this.
Okay.
I agree with Joey.
Dylan, yeah.
In a sense, I think I would echo what Keith had to say, that I see the idea behind and the heart behind wanting to minimize it. But I also agree that I think stripping everything else that's already on our platform back, is definitely the case at this time.
Okay.
So I would be in opposition.
Keith, can you call the test, please?
Point of information, second question for you, Charlie. You spoke about unintended consequences, but you didn't just put those words.
Yeah, I think, right off the bat, I've had many people that have pointed towards the platform that have come and joined the party because of it. Now they're no longer here based on interactions with people in Discord, but it was specifically the platform that we had in place that turned them to the Libertarian Party. So I can understand the initiative and the draw of a simplistic platform to be able to draw people in. And I understand that that's the intent of it. I don't know that that's going to be the actual action that happens. So I've had people come to the party because of the platform.
Okay, so I just want to remind people that the platform unfortunately actually has no authority as such. Okay, if we nominate a candidate, they're not required to agree with the platform. Okay, nobody checks to see if they agree with the platform. Never happened before. The statement of principles, on the other hand, you're required to agree with to be a member of the party. Okay, so the statement of principles, which if you notice is very small, short, and simple. Okay, I think that is illustrative of the idea behind this. Okay, secondly, the things that people are talking about, where we point them to the platform and they read it and go, okay, that's fine, I'm going to join party. There's nothing that stops that. It means something that is the platform. The thing about the platform is you can only change the platform at convention, and it has to be something where in the platform, the text of the platform, everybody should agree with the substance of the text. Okay, and it's easier when it's short and simple. Okay, and if we're going to have policy papers, we're going to have candidates having proposals that may or may not agree with our current platform. It ends up sort of sowing discord and confusion about what libertarians even believe. Because there are members of our party who believe in gun control. Okay, and they might be good libertarians in every single other thing, but they think gun control is important for them. Okay, and I don't think we should say you should vote for libertarians. We don't want you to give our party money because you disagree on that one issue. Okay, now in general, we all want to be good libertarians, and we should show up at convention and nominate good candidates, and do our job as members of the party, selling ourselves to people. Okay, but an overly complicated platform that nobody reads. I could see the view count on the old website or Nick's website. Nobody looked at it. Ask yourself, when was the last time you read the platform? Okay, and you know everything that's even in it? Probably not, if we're honest with ourselves. Okay, and that's all I have to say.
Okay, we are actually out of time for platform bylaws today. So either we can table this for tomorrow, or we can go ahead and vote. Jake, did you get a chance to talk at all?
I was gonna come up. All right, I was gonna maybe propose a solution that will make nobody happy and might be a hassle. It'll probably insert this new proposal at the beginning of the bylaws, the platform. Yes, sorry, I'm not a good libertarian, I should be kicked out. Insert it at the beginning, kind of use it as a summary of what we stand for. And then we don't get rid of the rest of the, at least this year. We're not gonna throw away the hard work they put on creating this. But if we insert it at the front, we can put this on the front page of the website. The 5 pillars. And then if you really want to dig in to the rest of the platform, there will be a link. And then, I don't know, does that make sense? Like, we're not throwing away, because I think these builders are good. I like what they say. But I also understand the concerns about throwing away the rest of it, or just reviewing it. So would it be possible to insert right now that if you want to go beat this horse next year? To do it. We do it every year.
Okay. Everybody that's already had a chance to speak for or against, we're just gonna go around in circles if we don't. Thank you.
I would like to make a motion
Call the question. All right, so now we have motion on the floor to call question. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I think 2/3 got it, that's fine. So at this point, then we're voting on this, right? Somebody wants to make the motion?
I would like to make a motion to approve the proposal. Second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to approve the proposal by voice vote. In a second.
Point of information, is that necessary to solve the question?
Yeah, no.
Okay, so. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we need to do a hand count. Is that the next step?
2/3 required to pass.
Okay, so we have somebody, Jake, do you want to count from that side? Never mind. Keith, do you want to count from that side? Joey, you want to count from that side?
You know, rolling from the chair on after the vote, and then if someone challenges it, they challenge the chair to talk for.
Oh, no, that did not sound like Jake's. Okay, so that's why we're doing it. Motion. Motion failed.
Decision is clear.
All right. Do we need to make a, okay, Karen, I don't have a parliamentarian day, so I can't. Do we need to make a yay or nay on that?
No.
No. Okay. All right, so we're going to go ahead and count. So all in favor of passing this as is, stand up.
It could be. No, maybe.
No, I don't. All, no, I don't get to vote. All opposed, stand.
Oh, yeah. Whoa. What other text?
I can tell you right now.
Yeah. Okay, I think the motion fails. All right. We don't have anything else left in the PVC packet. We do have a speaker that is 2 years in a row. We got through everything. I'd like to introduce my game read from the American Experiment.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. As Rebecca mentioned, I'm Mike Emery with American Experiment. Just a little bit of background. I'm a sort of lifetime Minnesotan, went to the University of Minnesota Law School, got involved in politics 30 plus years ago. I was have been active in Republican politics. So first thing I'm going to say about American Experiment is we're a nonpartisan organization. So what am I going to do? I'm going to talk about politics first. So I am here because I got in touch with Rebecca due to Brett Bussman. I took a position with American Experiment this past September. Before that, I've been a lobbyist on Capitol Hill in DC for many, many years. I was working for a defense contractor. Decided to get back involved in the conservative movement and started with American Experiment.
So, but as for politics, I was on the floor of the convention, of the Republican State Convention last summer, and I voted to endorse Royce White. And I looked at that and said, you know, Amy Klobuchar, she's going to be tough to beat. I don't know, Royce White, whoever, probably not going to win. Let's shake it up and do something different. And I voted for Royce White. And then it got down to the primary, and I didn't vote for Royce White. I didn't vote for the endorsed candidate. I got to the general and I did vote for Royce White, but I have realized since starting and getting to know Rebecca a little bit, I think I made a mistake. I should have voted for Rebecca. So I now know that, and I was kicking it around with some people at the Republican Party of Wright County the other night. Said, hey, I'm going to go be talking to the Libertarians, and one of them said, oh, I voted for their Senate candidate. I was like, yeah, okay. So if the Republicans keep putting up crap like Royce White, I'm going to be with you. But so now. So I'll go to American Experiment now. What I am is I'm the director of Greater Minnesota Outreach. So I get all of the good parts if you're conservative. I don't have to deal with the 7-county metro, but I deal with St. Cloud and Duluth and Mankato and Rochester and some other places that are even better than those. But what is American Experiment? American Experiment is Minnesota's most effective and largest conservative organization. We are out there researching, doing polling, doing data, analyzing, writing, and then proposing solutions on issues like Minnesota's economy, the family issues, the healthcare, education, you name it. So there was a poll recently of Minnesota legislators asking, what are the most effective advocacy organizations in the legislature? Any idea who number one would be? Yes, Education Minnesota by far. Then the Chamber of Commerce, Minnesota Business Partnership. Number four, American Experiment. So we are on Capitol in St. Paul 10 to 15 times a year. Actually, we've been there already 10 times. Advocating and testifying on behalf of legislation, because with the Republicans taking the control, again, we're nonpartisan, but it's Republicans who are coming to American Experiment for solutions on these types of issues. And I say solutions because you take a look at something like Alpha News. Many of you may know Alpha News from a conservative perspective. What they're doing on a daily basis is developing their own content and taking content from organizations like American Experiment, Daily Caller, Daily Wire, whatever, putting it out there as news. It's a great organization. We do the same thing on a daily basis, but what we also do is we turn it into content. We turn it into solutions. We're coming to the table and saying, okay, things are not right. How do we change this? So how big are we? Social media. We have more than 10,000 interactions a day on all platforms. We have a website that draws 3 million page views a year. Like I said, we're at the legislature 10 to 15 times a year. We have legislative action software. So for instance, when Sanctuary State idea came out in March of 2024, or is it 2023? American Experiment activated our accounts and drew 20,000 contacts to Minnesota legislators saying, don't make us a sanctuary state. When the Democrats didn't show up earlier this year, we drove 20,000 constituents to their doorstep saying, get back to work. We have a magazine called Thinking Minnesota, which is the best conservative perspective magazine in Minnesota. I hope many of you get it. If you don't, you need to sign up for it. We have 65,000 subscriptions. We print another 15,000 copies on a quarterly basis that get sent around. This one is all about the Golden Turkey Award. Every year for the past 6 years, what we've done is taken nominations from people all over Minnesota for the worst spending items that are going on in Minnesota. We take 4 each year, and then we have a vote. And we got more than 10,000 votes this year for Minnesotans. The winner was the Minnesota flag. Now, why would it be the Minnesota flag? That's kind of silly. It's maybe you like it, maybe you don't. Probably you don't. Most Minnesotans don't. But it's the cost. It's millions and millions of dollars. Not in designing it, but in making all these local governments change them out. for their police forces, for their flagpoles, for their fire departments, millions of dollars that were required on January 1st, 2025 to change. So we also do events, and we're going to have our annual dinner on May 17th. Scott Jennings of CNN will be our guest speaker there. It will be at the Hilton in Minneapolis. And speakers from various areas. We're going to have an American Dream immigrants who are coming to the United States legally. They're going to come to St. Cloud State and talk about what the American Dream means to them. I heard Mankato. Mayor candidate Mankato. We're going to do an education choice on April 24th at the YMC in Mankato. And then I heard Otter Tail earlier right there. You may have heard that Republicans have told their members of Congress to not do town meetings. Well, I will be interviewing Michelle Fischbach at a town meeting in Otter Tail on March 20th. And I hope that you are there, because a lot of your friends and perhaps enemies are going to be there as well. So those are types of things that we do. But what we really do is we really do the investigative reporting across Minnesota that uncovers the waste, the fraud, the abuse in Minnesota local government, school boards, unions, you name it. A couple of great examples. First one's a little bit trivial, but it was in Brainerd at the school district level before the elections. We had a supporter, a teacher in the Brainerd School Districts, who was in the district office and had her mailbox, and she pulled out from her mailbox, a union card with the union endorsed candidates for school board. So she sent it to American Experiment. So what did we do? We took the Minnesota Parents Alliance documents from them and said, hey, we want to put it into the mailbox. Well, what did the administration say? No, that's against our rules. Well, you allowed the teachers union to do it. Oh, that was a mistake. Well, we can still do it too. I know we're going to have to talk about that. Just so, of course, we reported on that. That's a small one. Bigger one. When Tim Walz became the nominee for the Democrats, vice president, people from all over the world flocked to Minnesota and said, who is this guy? Well, obviously MSNBC and others, they called him what? Coach. He was the coach. Well, they had to find out something else. What did we learn about Tim Walz? Tampons. What else about Tim Walz? What about his character? He lies. He lies. He lies. He lies. He lies. He lies about everything. Hey, you see my green sheet of paper here? He lies about little things. So it was American Experiment who had been following him for years, in particular as governor, who supplied all of the information to Hannity, to Laura Ingraham, whoever wanted it across the world, saying, look at all of these odd things that this guy does. And that became the narrative from the Republican side. And it was all generated by this organization, American Experiment. So I want to point out one last thing is our scandal tracker. You can go on our website right now, and you could all sit here and we could talk about all the scandals that have happened in Minnesota over recent years. We might be able to come up with all of them, but they're not all in one place. American Experiment has them all in one place. You can go on the website and see our total of $611 million in fraud that's gone over about 20 different programs under since Governor Walz took office. So those are the types of things that we do. Why do we do them? Well, Minnesota may be a blue state, but it is not a liberal state. 85% of the issues, when we put them forward on just, hey, what are your positions on these things? 85% of these issues, Minnesotans actually lean conservative. The state is not left wing, but there's one other thing. When I was debating whether I should take this position or not, I was talking with our president, John Hinderocker, and I said, why do you do what you do? And his answer was this: Minnesota is worth fighting for. Minnesota isn't gone yet. It's worth fighting for, and we're the ones in the trenches focusing not on the politics. You're never going to see us supporting a candidate, but on the policies. What are the policies that Minnesota needs to be following in order to become more free, to limit our government, more prosperity, and operating in a better
manner. So we are trying to educate and inform voters and move them to the right one step at a time. Now, here I am at the Libertarian Party. I've looked through your platform. We are going to agree on most things. What I would really be interested in, and I'm not going to do a raise of hands, but let's say, yeah, this is going to be heresy. Let's say government required you to vote. You were required to vote. And Donald Trump was on the ballot, and Joe Biden was on the ballot, and nobody else was. Now, Kamala Harris was on the ballot, and nobody else was. I'd be really interested to know where you people were. I think you'd be with Trump. I'm not sure about that. I'm not going to call for votes, but it would be really interesting, which means I think the libertarians and American experiment are a lot closer than you are to others. So are we effective? We're the most effective conservative group in Minnesota. How do we know that? We have more than 350 million contacts with Minnesotans every year, whether it's an in-person event, whether it's clicking on a website, reading an article, whatever, 350 million contacts. And we are successful. We beat back the sanctuary state legislation. We've done all kinds of other things. But you know how we're really effective? You know what happened in January of 2024? Arsonists burned down our building right to the ground. So if you're not an effective organization, your enemies don't usually burn your offices to the ground. So we don't have any solutions on that. It's in the hands of the FBI. And they're not telling us anything, but it's an unsolved mystery. So if anybody wants to solve that one, we are more than willing. So what do I hope from you? I hope that you will join our effort and join our movement as we work with conservatives to make Minnesota, to limit our government, to improve personal responsibility, government accountability, limit government, promote free enterprise, promote prosperity in our state. So what I have is a card. I've gotten several from you already. All I need is your personal, your home address and your email. You'll get a few emails from us a week, 3 when the legislative session is going, 2 when you are not. If you don't like it, you can unsubscribe. But you'll also get links and content to all of the things that we're doing online, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or podcasts about legislature, this, that, and the other. Then you'll also start getting for a while the magazine. We're going to be going to a more subscription-based model because this is very expensive, but also then invitations to all of the events that we do. And it isn't set yet, but I think it's going to be our summer tour. We'll do, 15 or 16 events all over the state. Is going to be Minnesota Doge. Yeah. What can we do in Minnesota to cut government, cut spending, and put more money back in the hands of taxpayers? So it's going to be a fun. I'm going to hang out. You're going to do your awards. I've got my table over there. If you're interested in signing up and learning more, I promise that you will be a better educated voter and that you will find interesting content that is likely to line up with your views, and you will not be disappointed. So again, I'm Mike Amory with American Experiment. Happy to take some questions. Yes.
Regarding those, would you be willing to work with the Libertarian Party to get some Libertarians into that program? Because I can say that we will be extremely effective.
We are nonpartisan. So this is not a libertarian party. We'll take Democrats. We don't care. It's we are open to everyone. The one thing that we do is we charge a little bit for all of our programs, and there's a reason for that. If you don't charge anything, you get overwhelmed by your opponents. But if you put a little bit of dollar amount on it, then your opponents don't come because they don't want to be your contributors. And believe me, this Michelle Fischbach one is going to cost you $10. So I imagine we're going to get opponents at that one though. So yes. But just what you need to do is sign up, start getting our stuff. And if you've got people that you think would also be interested, forward it to them, sign up. It doesn't cost anything. Of course, we are donor based. But that is the thing. We have more than 10,000 contributors annually, and we have the largest email list in Minnesota, currently active at more than 160,000 names active. Which means on at least once every 6 months, we've got 160,000 people clicking our stuff. Yes, ma'am. I was looking it up with this a gentleman over there, right over there earlier. Just type in American Experiment. Yeah, American Experiment Scandal Tracker. And you'll be able to do it. You'll click on there and you'll see where it is on the website. But if you can also go to americanexperiment.org and not only sign up, but find all of our content there as well. So again, thank you so much. I will be here for a few more minutes. Please stop by the table over there, grab a card, sign up, and I don't think you will be disappointed at all. Also, I have plenty of magazines, so pick up the magazine. Even if you're not sure, take a look at it, and I bet you'll say, "Ah, that's good." Thank you.
Oh. All right, thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. And now our last speaker of the evening is Representative Drew Roach. He's the author of the Defend the Guard bill in the House. So he's going to take a few minutes to speak.
Pull it off there. This thing's a little high. You may not see me if I stand behind it. So yeah, my name's Drew Roach. I'm new representative to the legislature. First, want to thank Rebecca for inviting me to come out and speak to you guys. Author of the Defend the Guard bill in the House. You know, I got started in politics just about 5 years ago during COVID, or I should say after COVID. You know, we had a tyrannical governor in our state that wanted to lock us down and tell us we couldn't work, and, you know, kept us from our family and social distance, and said we couldn't go to church. And that kind of was what was the main tipping point for me to get involved in politics. I don't have a political science degree. I had no envision of going to, you know, becoming a politician. I just got sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I got involved. So, you know, I come at it from a liberty perspective. I'm proud to be, you know, have ties with Young Americans for Liberty. I'm one of the few legislators in the legislature that are HASLET coalition members. So it's a round all organization. And so again, liberty is always on my mind when I'm representing my district in 58B. And I had talked to Diego earlier in the summer. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He's the one who's kind of helping push the Defend the Guard initiative across the country. And so I made contact with him via Senator Wiesenberg that you guys heard from earlier. And so, yeah, it was important for me to be able to author that bill. We've gotten some pushback, but I think, you know, we will hopefully be able to kind of push back on some of the narrative that's going out there about the Defend the Guard and really move it forward in the direction that a lot of us want to see. Outside of that, you know, I'm a small business owner. Again, so I kind of come at it from a business perspective and a liberty perspective. I don't know if you guys have any specific questions or anything like that, but you know, I'm just a regular blue collar guy. Again, had no intention of getting in politics and felt the need that I had to. So my current representative, or my previous representative, was in the legislature for 20 years, 10 terms, and saw the opportunity to run, and nobody else was running, so I decided to throw my hat in there and got involved in the caucus process, and, you know, here I am. So I appreciate you guys having me. I'll start with, I think it's Nick, right?
Yes, sir. So I know you just introduced this bill and it just landed on the legislature's website on Monday. Obviously, we know the opposition is Matt Lesbo. What have you had the chance yet to kind of go around and engage support amongst your cohorts in the House yet?
I've talked a little bit about it, so I think there has been, some initial talk about that. It kind of help this kind of probably, I'd say, put some hurdles in the way. But I think as we continue to, shed light on the reality of some of those hurdles and some of those maybe misinformation about that, I think we'll be able to have more conversations with representatives. I know we should at least be able to get a hearing on it. And I will do my best to talk to as many representatives as I possibly can to get them on board and to make sure that they know, some of the truths behind it instead of some of the things that they're hearing. And so I will continue to do that.
What committees do you just usually?
So I serve on the taxes committee, elections committee, and education policy. So some good ones. So actually, I've been talking to Chip as well about getting some ballot access. Legislation going on there. Part of why I got involved was, one, it was COVID, and then it kind of snowballed into 2020. All the shenanigans we saw, we continue to see it in our election process. I mean, it's absurd. And one of the things one of the first things that I saw as a representative in committee was the OLA does these audits on state organizations all the time. And one of the audits that they did was on the Secretary of State's website, it's Secretary of State's office. And what they found is that there's 41 grantees that were receiving money from the Secretary of State's office, and 14 of those 41 grantees had no proof of what they got the money. Zero receipts, no itemization, no invoicing. Secretary of State just willy-nilly handed out money to 14, grantees that we didn't have names of. And so I have a problem with that. Right? Like there needs to be transparency specifically in an executive branch, Secretary of State's office that handles our elections, right? Like there can be no room for lack of transparency. As we've seen in Minnesota, we have tons of fraud. I mean, not only at the federal level, but it's rampant at the state level. We have these NGO groups that are getting kickbacks and these foundations that are getting kickbacks throughout the state government, getting grants. They start, PACs, and they just redistribute them. So we've got a huge fraud problem. We got to write that in. I guess it's a long answer to what you asked me, but yeah. Go ahead.
So why do we have to pass legislation on the Constitution?
It's a good question. I don't know. It's frustrating when we have to do that, right? I think the establishment and the powers that be have been able to get away with it for a long time. So, they've been able to skirt the Constitution and, widen the goalposts as they see fit, and people don't hold them accountable. And so we need to do our best to hold them accountable. So it's sad that we have to do that. But I look forward to being, allowed to do on that front. I have no problem going in there and ruffling feathers and pissing some people off. I'm definitely, considered an outside candidate. I expect to be primary in 26. The reality is good luck, because you're not going to work harder than me. I knocked on thousands of doors, called thousands of people. When I got involved in the caucus process, I won first ballot 77%. And I didn't spend very much money. So, I expect to get some pushback, but that's okay. I think, hard work and standing for principles is something that politics has been lacking. We need more people that are willing to do that. So, yeah.
I'll ask what I asked Senator. General comes to testify. If we do commit holding them accountable for breaking the check, violating that.
Well, I'll kind of give you that same answer. I mean, I think if that's something that, obviously I'm not, taking the court, but we definitely could have that conversation in committee, right? They need to realize that if they're going to be speaking in that regard, they're probably not doing what they're supposed to do, right? So Again, I have no problem being outspoken. So, yeah,
So when I spoke earlier about some of the political issues that are coming up in state government, I mentioned that I thought you were coming on the agenda that, you could talk maybe a little bit about the never again legislation that's, relating in use of emergency power.
yeah, so I'm the chief author of the Never Again Act, which is, a
Different versions of it.
what's that?
There's different versions of it.
There's, yeah, I mean, yes and no. There's one that's the Never Again Act, which is my bill, which is very, very strongly worded. And then, there's another one, it's House File 21, I don't know if it has a specific name, it's just the end emergency powers. It's a step in the right direction. That actually got to the House floor. Obviously, since we don't have 68 votes, Democrats say they want to make change, but they really don't want to make change. They only want change that they can control. So, none of them are gonna step out of the party lines and vote against the party. I guess to kind of just step off topic for a second about the Never Again. When the House earlier this year made a power sharing agreement, right, with the Democrats, myself and one other representative were the only two in the Republican body that voted against that, right? And the reason why, I'm not going to speak for the other representative, but the reason why I voted against that is because in that power sharing agreement, we agreed to there was rules in there. Rule number 9 stated that we could not dispute elections on the floor, right? So I don't know if you guys have been paying attention to some of the state races, but one of the races, 54A, the Brad Tappy race, is a race that, Brad Tappy at first didn't win, and then he won, and he only won by 14 votes, but 21 ballots were missing, thrown away, got shredded, gone. So did he win? Probably not. But in the power sharing agreement, they suggested rule number 9 that we could not bring election disputes on the House floor. But that had to go ahead.
Doesn't the Minnesota Constitution state that election can be, that's the only place that you can?
Minnesota Supreme Court recently stated that.
So the reality is the House has jurisdiction over its members. Right? So we have authority to say, no, we need a special election. But, the powers that be made a decision to.
They didn't say that they couldn't dispute it within the House, it just couldn't be disputed on the House floor.
Yeah.
So it could still be disputed within the House in a committee, but just not on the floor.
Yeah, so they essentially, so what the rule stated was that we couldn't bring up that dispute on the floor. But it had to go through an ethics committee, which is a sham committee. Okay? Nothing ever happens in ethics, except a complaint. I'm sure I'll get a complaint against me in ethics at some point this year because I say men have penises and girls have vaginas, and that's not something I'm supposed to say, especially when there's a legislature who's transgender and they don't like that.
But you didn't have to crawl through a basement window to say it.
But so I voted against that because again, part of one of the 4 things that I ran on is election integrity, and I would love for an election contest for something like that to happen to a Republican, because my stance would be the same thing. If a Republican had won by 14 seats, 21 votes, all of it. Dude, we need a special election. Let's just let the best person win. If that means we gotta have a special election, like we have it right now in 3D, let's do it, right? But we never get that opportunity because it always seems to happen on the other side. So reality is I couldn't support the rules in that because it took away my ability to be able to question that election on the House floor, that's what you have the House floor for, right? So, yeah, so with that said, is I have no problem being outspoken and going against the grain, so to say, if that's what it takes. To get back to the Never Again Act, so I am the chief author in that. That's still going through committee. I'm hoping that it's gonna get a fair shake. Robin's bill made it to the House floor. It was voted on. Obviously, because we don't have 68 votes, we need a Democrat. No Democrat's gonna vote to take away the governor's authority to declare an emergency. So that bill got tabled, for potential, to be voted on in the future. Now, her bill did get better. There was some amendments made to it that strengthened the language. But in my opinion, it's better than nothing, but it's not as strong as mine. So I'm hopeful that I'll get an opportunity again to be able to move that forward. And I won't get any hurdles. I won't have any shenanigans get played against me, but my speech here probably is gonna. But that's it. Any other questions for anybody or comments? Sure. Okay. Yeah, all right, well, I appreciate you guys having me out here. Again, I look forward to working with Chip and Rebecca. I know Rebecca's got some things with agricultural deregulation. I look forward to being able to do that and help some dairy farmers. Obviously, some ballot access. As much as I consider myself a Republican, I want to see, policy and politics move in a more constitutional conservative movement. I will be, I'll be at that. So you'll see me there for sure. Absolutely. All right. Well, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks a lot.
The agenda, all right, we only have one thing left on the agenda this evening, and that is awards. However, we are looking at, because we got through all the PVC stuff this evening. There's none of that to do tomorrow. So I'm looking for a motion to change our opening time tomorrow morning from 9 to 9:30. Anybody like to make that motion? Terry, make the motion. Anybody second? Clinton seconds. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
It's not 9.
What?
You're changing it to 9.
So we're starting a little later.
Change breakfast. That's big. But it's.
So to be clear, breakfast still starts at the same time, but we wouldn't start business until a half hour later. All right, so motion and second on the floor. Any questions? All in favor say aye. All opposed? Motion carries. And don't forget, daylight savings time is also this evening, so just keep track of that. There was something else that we had to do.
Awards.
Oh, no, but there was some word other. I don't remember. All right, so last order of business for the evening is awards. Does anybody want to come and do this more?
I can read the first 3.
No, you can't. Sit down. Okay, Charlie, you want to come and read the awards?
Sure. Oh, it's been a while since I've been up here. All right. All right. Awards. First award. Libertarian Party of Minnesota recognized the excellence of Hayden Oliver in the year 2025 as a rising star in our organization. Thank you. Take a picture. Pose on the picture.
Photo.
Actually, Rebecca, get in there. There we go. Thank you.
Okay.
Another Rising Star Award. The Libertarian Party of Minnesota recognizes the excellence of Keith Haskell in the year 2025 as a rising star in our organization.
Okay, folks. Thank you.
Next up, the Awesome Porcupine Award. Libertarian Party of Minnesota recognizes the excellence of Chip Tingen.
Yeah.
As an awesome porcupine.
So I'm glad it's the porcupine. Because there's an effort by some in this organization to change the mascot to something else. Let's stay true to the porcupine.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chip. Perfect shirt for that opportunity.
And last but not least, the Libertarian of the Year. The Libertarian Party of Minnesota recognizes the excellence of Joey Gamache. The Libertarian of the Year.
At least give us a no.
I challenge you all to take 1/10 of my burden.
Mic drop.
All right, that's, I think we have everything done for this evening. So there's the banquet dinner at 7 p.m. If you bought a ticket to that, is that here, Joey, in this room? Or is-
Banquet is in this room. If you are not attending the banquet, please don't leave your stuff at the tables. We are not sure which tables are going to be needed for the food.
Okay. And then also karaoke starts at 9 p.m. Where is that at?
Also here.
Okay, also here.
Let's run a hospitality suite now. It'll be about a half hour.
Also, if you are planning to run for office, in between now, this time, and convention next year, or whatever you do, office, tomorrow morning, when we open, you'll have a chance to be able to say what you're doing, introduce yourself, that kind of thing. So be prepared for, and if you have any questions, either come find myself or Tiff or Joey, okay? Anything else for the evening before we adjourn? And we're not.
We're adjourning for the night.
Adjourning, okay. Adjourn. All right. Motion for adjourn. All right, Ahmed and second, Taras. All right, all in favor, say aye. Okay, all opposed?
Just because he yelled doesn't mean it was that many people.
And we will resume at 9:30 tomorrow morning, Sunday. Have a good evening, everyone.